This is another plant that I have actually in my own garden. I have a few reservations about it, but I like it because of the bark characteristics. Number 883, which is Prunus maackii. And maackii says Manchurian Cherry. You might see it as Amur Cherry.
Choke cherry?
Choke cherry. And that choke cherry implies Prunus Certina and that group.
So what would you rather us call it?
I would rather you call it Manchurian Cherry.
Okay.
Because choke cherry, like I said, it applies to a couple of the other cherries. The reason they call it choke cherry is it's closely related and it has similar flower characteristics, similar growth characteristics, which are negatives. Choke cherry is a shitty plant. It's not a nice plant. Yeah.
Black knot.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, how do you know that?
Black cards.
Monday group.
Sorry?
Monday group.
Monday group.
Oh.
See?
I was impressed there for a minute. No, I'm not. Sorry, but I'm impressed that you did remember. What are you doing here, anyhow?
I'm in both groups.
Oh, are you? Okay, good.
You probably need this.
Well, you know, you should come up and do this. Here, here, you can have my speaker. I can go get a cup of tea.
I don't think anyone who had both days, they were only supposed to come on Fridays.
I don't mind you coming both days, but I don't want people coming, you know, can't come Monday and then come on Friday. No one's here doing that, are they?
No.
John? Okay, you look terrified.
Nobody comes to me.
Hot. Anyhow, Prunus maackii. Is this thing working?
Not well.
Not that well.
Just kind of hidden under the
Scream at
sweater,
us.
maybe?
Oh no, it should be. Maybe the batteries. I haven't charged it for a while. I think yeah, it is. It's getting weaker. It's a battery, so you're gonna have to function without it. The batteries
Actually, it's
have
kind
died.
of easier to hear you that way.
Okay, Prunus maackii. Well, the reason I like it, obviously, bark. Look at the bark on it, golden bark. Sometimes you might hear it called golden bark cherry as well. Beautiful bark tree. These were little guys and they weren't the best trained things, so they're not the best examples. Let's go look at the best examples. The ones that are here. So the nice statement. Yeah, it's a bit better looking than the rest. The cherries and maackii and I said that the choke cherry group, they have some problems, and it is black knot. And black knot is like a cancer disease that envelops the stem and kind of cuts off the circulation. Plantness. We don't have any on the campus, so it must have come from across the road.
I see them around randomly.
Yeah. Platanus occidentalis. So you can see the start of these black knots, and they'll get quite large. It almost looks like someone has taken dog turd and stuck them to the branches of the tree.
That's growing.
When they grow, they're like really gross black things, and you'll see them on a lot of cherries, a lot of plums. And they can be a devastating disease, especially for orchardists. You've got to remove it. You can prune it out, but if a tree gets too severe, the best thing is to remove it completely. If you prune it, you need to disinfect. So, do we have another set of secateurs here today?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can take this sample and then not use your secateurs on the next cherry, or someone else can, who's got the other ones? Dave. You can get the next sample on the next cherry, because we don't want to carry this disease across to the next plant on our list, which is another cherry. The tree-wise, it has large panicles of white flowers. Go to the website, look at the flowers. They smell awful. The tree, you can see, is a very, very vigorous grower. So it's got very kind of, it produces an excess of growth. I don't know how many limbs I've cut off my tree at home because it keeps getting out into the garden, spreading out. So it's a fairly vigorous cherry, as are the choke cherries. The other cherries that I'm going to show you are not as vigorous. But for the golden bark, and when it's in flower, it's quite nice. It has some really, you know, those are two of the best characteristics for it. Really, you can't find much with that bark characteristic. If you were following the Facebook page of Canada Plants a while back, I put up a whole bunch of images of really different barks. This was one of them, and the other one was Prunus rufus, which we can't grow here. The Himalayan cherry was almost black, and it had this kind of bark. What you will notice with cherries is they have these white marks on them. They're called lenticels, and they're essentially the breathing pores for the bark. And cherries as a group have pronounced lenticels. So usually when you see pronounced lenticels on a sample, it could point to a cherry, but will most likely point to a member of the Rosaceae family. So it could be peaches, it could be plums, etc. But it'll point you in that general direction. And that, in some cases, makes it very attractive bark when you get these lenticels breaking up the color of the bark. Good urban street tree, but it gets a little, as I said, a little wonky and a little aggressive, needs care, and because it's got that black knot condition. So most of these diseases will enter through a wounding point. So I wouldn't plant this as a street tree over here where the students are snapping off branches, because then you've got open entry points for diseases, etc., and you're putting the tree in stressed conditions. My Prunus maackii in my garden doesn't have any black knot, right? Because it's not stressed, it's happy, and you know. So.
What branch? Do you want that bottom one hanging off? It's
Yeah,
weird.
yeah. Let's get that.
It gets a little